It is with a great honor and pleasure that I get to introduce our guest speaker tonight. He not only is a really good dear friend, but he treated us all really well this morning. For those that went on the beef cattle tour, it was excellent, by the way. Very amazing. Get it closer. Is that better? All right, there, maybe. It's in and out. It's not good. Is it better? I don't know. Okay, let's try this again.
It's all right.
Donnell and his wife Kelly are the 5th generation to own and manage the R.A. Brown Ranch in Throckmorton, Texas. It's a family business that was established in 1895. Why does it keep going out on me?
How about this one? That sounds better.
That sound better? I'll turn this one off.
I wore a battery out on that thing.
Man, Jay, come on now. All right, let's try this again. Is that a little better?
Yes.
Okay. So, Donnell and his wife Kelly are the 5th generation to own and manage the R.A. Brown Ranch in Throckmorton, Texas. It's a family business that was established in 1895. They raise registered Angus, Red Angus, semi-Angus cattle and sell 1,000 bulls and registered females, as well as 1,000 commercial females in their annual auctions each March and October. They use sound science and technology to produce superior genetics designed for improving profits for the commercial cattlemen. Leadership and industry service are very important to the Brown family, where they serve on numerous boards and committees. He has served as a strategic planning for many organizations, ranches, breed associations, as well as the U.S. beef industry. Donnell is very quick to give appreciation for all he has learned growing up in the 4-H program, where he was actively involved and served as a state officer on the Texas 4-H Council. He and his wife Kelly both served as national FFA presidents, and they are blessed with 2 great sons, Tucker and Lanham, who have both joined them back at the family ranch as part of the family business. Together, they are living their dream of raising cows, kids, grandkids, which added 1 today, and good quarter horses. I'd like to introduce Mr. Brown.
Justin, thank you. We had the pleasure of making lots of tracks with Justin and his bride as he was county agent when our boys were in the 4-H program, and we had lots of good trips together. Thank you for having me here tonight. It is a joy and pleasure to be here. I want to start with a few questions. One, I want to say thanks to all of you that came to our place today and came on the tour, but I heard the Nocona tour was even better. So congratulations for those that chose to go there. But getting out, seeing different places, seeing different things is a wonderful thing to do. So I compliment this organization for doing that and making that happen. I like to get to know the people that I'm speaking with. So I need to know how many of you have been county agents for more than 20 years. Can I see a show of hands? That is awesome. All right. How many for less than 10? A show of hands. Got some good young blood coming in. How many more than 30 years? There we go. How about, have we got more than 40? More than 40 years? There we go. Got a handful in the room. That is great. Also, I want to know how many of you grew up on a dirt road? Yes? All right. How many of you still live on a dirt road? How many of you have brothers and sisters? How many of you have a dog or a cat? How many of you have siblings that sometimes treated you like a dog or a cat? Yeah? We can relate. I want to know how many of you put both socks on before you put on your boots or shoes. Show me. How many of you put one sock and then that shoe and then the other? All right, see, there's always a few that do it that way. That's okay. Now I want to know, how many of you button your shirt from the top down? Right? Anybody button it from the bottom up? Okay. Proud of it too, say, yeah, doggone, that's the right way to do it. Everybody else wrong. How many of you put your left leg in your britches first? You might have to think about that one. How many of you put your right leg in first? Any of them, like my granddaughter, try to jump off the bed, put them both in. Just to mention, we got a new grandbaby today. I'm a proud grandfather of 2, and those that came to the ranch know, we do a lot with genetics and animal breeding and EPDs, and so, how many grandparents do we have in the room tonight? Great. I had no idea how important it was, this grandparent naming thing. What are they going to call you? What are they going to call you? I thought, I don't know. But boy, I tell you what, I've learned that's a pretty important deal. So my grandpa name is Grandpa EPD. I knew this audience would understand. Yes. I do think about genetics and expected progeny differences quite a bit. How many of you like your toilet paper to roll off the back and off the bottom of the roll? Yes? All right. How many of you like to roll it off the top where you can paddle it? Uh-huh. How many just happy that you got some? All right. I ask you those questions because those are simple habits of things we do on a regular basis. And I heard somebody say it today. Don't even think about it, which leg I put in my britches first. But tonight I want to talk to you about 2 or 3 things. One, I want to talk to you about communication and communicating the right message about agriculture, about youth, about our industry and the livelihood of which we live and the land we live on and why we love to care for it. Communication. 2, I also want to talk to you about service and how we can make the best better. So those are a couple of things. One, I need you to get your spoon out, all right? Grab your spoon, get your napkin, clean it off if you don't. If you're still using it, it's all right. You can clean it off. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But have your spoon handy. I always love it when you go to those church gatherings and they take up your food, but they say, keep your spoon. That means something better coming along, right? But I hope that as you think about these habits over the next few days, it causes you to think about the message tonight. As we come here to recognize, appreciate, and give thanks to the service for the men and women of the year. Got to see Lloyd Arthur here tonight. I haven't seen him in 20 years. But it's great to see these people that you have selected for good reason as being leaders in our industry. I loved growing up in 4-H. I loved all the things that it taught me, and it taught me a great deal. I loved showing calves, but I learned that at one state reserve grant at the state fair, but I learned that showing wasn't an end in itself, but a means to an end. To learn more about caring for another living being. To learn more about reproduction, maturity, growth, and even death in such a variety of ways. That to me is what growing up in agriculture and what our 4-H programs do for us. And then there's continuing education, what we do to help grow and learn. Life is changing, and life is changing fast. I remember when my boys were small. My wife and I lived in town, and the ranch is 5 miles from town. And Royal and I went to school together when our oldest boy was 5 years old. A lot of times I'd come home for lunch, and he'd go with me after lunch to the ranch. And like a lot of days, you and I, the days we have, especially in the winter months, it's dark when we're coming home. Well, we would be coming back into town, and Throckmorton is not a big place. But at night, the lights of Throckmorton shine, and when we would go into headed towards the home, we'd top this little hill at the edge of town, and Tucker Brown would say, "Daddy, there's Throckmorton." Every time we would see the lights of town, he'd say, "Daddy, there's Throckmorton." One day we went about 30 miles away to a neighboring community, had one flashing red light, just like our little small town. Both boys were in the back seat. My wife Kelly was there beside me, and we're driving into town. We get close to this neighboring community, and Tucker pops up and sees the light. Guess what he said? "There's Throckmorton." Well, I didn't say anything, but I watched in the rearview mirror as we drove on into town. And he looked, and he had this real confused look on his face as we pulled up to that flashing red light. And he said, Mom, Dad, we're lost at home. My point to that story is there are a lot of things in our future that may look similar, but they're going to be very different. And it's important for us to stay active in being a part of the solution and not just finding the trouble, but being an active part of the solution to make things better, to make the best better. To me, that is such an important part that we've said so many times that I take to heart and I want to do. As we look at agriculture and what we're doing at the ranch, I showed today the folks about feed efficiency and how we're testing for that. A couple of things I didn't share with them is that one, we are doing gene editing. At R.A. Brown Ranch, we have produced 2 gene-edited animals. Those gene-edited animals, we took an ear notch from 2 Angus bulls. We cloned those 2 Angus bulls. We edited the DNA using CRISPR-Cas9 technology to change from a black hide to a red hide. Those 2 animals are now, one of them has reached sexual maturity, is producing semen, the other's just about 9 months old. That gene editing technology is amazing, and I'm going to be speaking at the A&M Beef Cattle Short Course here in a month, and I hope a lot of you will be in College Station because they've asked me to be on a panel about what is the beef industry going to look like in the year 2053. 30 years from now, and I'll tell you, I'm excited as my mind goes crazy about where we're headed and what things are going to look like. And some of us are going to say, boy, I may be lost at home, but I'm going to be right at home as we progress and move forward, and I challenge you to be there with me. So the other neat part about gene editing is there are 5 different gene edits. We've made horn cattle polled. We have made hairy cattle slick-hided to handle the hotter environments. The most exciting one of all is we have made one animal that is with an enhanced immunity to make them resistant to bovine viral diarrhea, BVD. Calf's a year old now, and it has grown up with a persistently infected BVD animal. The calf has never had a vaccination and has never shown a clinical sign and does not have any titers for BVD. That to me is as our consumer says, I want antibiotic free. I want you to feed less antibiotics. I don't want you to vaccinate with as much and that kind of stuff. We can make significant enhancements, Dale, with gene editing. The type of gene editing we're doing is just remodeling the animal's own DNA. We're not taking DNA from another animal and putting it in. We're just simply playing DNA Scrabble, where we take CRISPR-Cas9 technology and we edit the animal's own DNA to express genes differently. 2 of those animals have been approved to go right into the food supply without any labeling, without any warning, because it said, hey, those genes are already in the food supply. You're just using this technology to more rapidly produce those cattle than we would with Mendelian genetics. But communicating the right messages, I'm in the gene editing business, that GMO is not a favorable word. This is not GMO technology because we're not bringing in outside genes. But communicating the right message is critical and important. GMO is critical and important. As we look at the population globally exploding, it looks like about the year 2050 that we will have less food than we have mouths to feed. So how are we going to do more with less? How are we going to produce more cotton for clothing and all the things we use cotton for? How are we going to produce the food needed for a growing global population? To me, we've got to do it with enhanced efficiency and sustainability to do more with less. Now remember, don't let them take your spoon. Keep your spoon. When our oldest son was about 7 years old, we had a little mare that we were keeping at our house. It was a little filly that I broke and was riding, and she was really talented, but we decided we wanted her to have a baby. Well, the boys, we kept that mare right outside the house, and the boys would help me do chores. And one evening, Tucker was out there, one morning, and it was the morning we decided to take Peppy, and we were going to go turn around with the stallion. And at 7 years old, my son says, "Dad, where are you taking Peppy?" When this light bulb went off. Here's my first shot at birds and the bees. But I'm just going to tell him like it is. But son, we're going to take her out to the pasture and put her with the stallion so that she can get bred. And when she comes back next spring, she'll have a baby. And he looked at me and went, "Oh, okay." I thought, man, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. That evening, his little brother came out with us to do chores with the other horses we had there. His little brother, 4 years old, "Where's Peppy? Where's Peppy?" And before I could get there, his older brother communicated the message. "Don't worry, they took her off to eat some bread. She's going to have a baby." Some of the things we try to communicate maybe don't come across the way we want them communicated. But for those that went to American Hat Company today, positive times comes across pretty darn clearly. And I think it's important for us to not only live in positive times, but to think positive at all times. To move ahead, to go past challenges. And that's one of the things our oldest son Tucker, who had their second baby today, he was named by the National Cattlemen's Beef Association as the Beef Advocate of the Year for the cattle industry. And if you're on social media, and I know a lot of you are, I encourage you to check out Tucker Brown at RAB, as he's really working hard to grow his social media presence as an influencer for agriculture, as he strives to communicate family values and food production and care of animals and land and environment and resources that God has entrusted us to do, along with faith in Christ. Those are the four key messages he intertwines in his messages he likes to call edutainment. It's a new way to communicate with a new generation. Some of us in the room might poo-poo social media. But what an amazing, he has millions of followers as a 29-year-old young man. Check out Tucker Brown, RAB. Because service and what you do in helping not only the young people of your communities and counties, but all of us in the agriculture business, I say thank you. Because service is so important. I want you to take your spoon, and I want you to lift it up. Take your spoon and lift it up. Just like this, with the spoon side down, like you were fixing to scoop in some really good dessert. And I want you to look, might need to rub it off a little bit. I want you to look and see if you can see your reflection in that spoon. Can you see your reflection? What's wrong with that reflection? Look at it with like you're going to serve yourself. Can you see your reflection? What's wrong with it? It's upside down. It's upside down. Now turn it over like you're going to feed someone else and see your reflection. And now it's right side up. And the key message there is if all we're trying to do is serve ourselves, it'll turn our world upside down. But in the job that you guys do so well in serving others and teaching others to serve others, it turns our world right side up. A key message that as you think about your habits that you do each day. How many of you brush your teeth using your right hand? Show of hands. How many of you brush them using your left hand? How many of you soak them? Never mind. When I was about 20 years old, I met the love of my life. And a friend challenged me. I always in 4-H. Growing up in sports and FFA was challenged to be a goal setter. But when I was 20, a friend and mentor challenged me to set goals for more than just this year. more than just a year or two down the road, but to set goals for my life. And at 20 years old, I set 4 goals. I set 4 goals that are still the same 4 goals for my life that I am pursuing today. And I remember about focal point and focusing. If I focus on where I want to go, I'm more likely to go. My daughter-in-law that had a baby today, she's a kindergarten teacher. I did an experiment with a group of kindergartners one time. Remember playing the game, if I step on a crack, what happens? There you go. We've been there, done that. We've watched kids and grandkids do that. I took half of the students in a kindergarten class and I challenged, I changed their focus. I changed their focal point and I said, all right, young men and women, when you play the game, think about where do you focus? Most often we focus on the crack. But I changed their focal point to focus on the open space, the target, the place that we want to be. Then we lined those 2 halves of the class up and saw how far they could go before they stepped on a crack. With a group of 5-year-old kids missing their front teeth, it was amazing at how much further the kids went that changed their focus. Instead of focusing on where they did not want to be, to focus on where they wanted to be. And when we focus on where we want to be, it makes a world of difference in where we're going. Doesn't mean we'll never step on a crack. Doesn't mean we won't make a mistake. But it helps us get further down the road of where we want to be. 34 years ago, I set goals. Those 4 goals, number 4. Those that went on the tour to our place today will appreciate this. My number 4 goal in life is to produce the most efficient beef cattle in the entire world that have superior flavor. I don't know if those who are on the tour today can see that's a passion of mine. Number 3, third most important goal of my life was to enjoy good health and to be happy. Now, I changed that one goal. There's one word that changed in this whole set of 4 goals in my life over the last 34 years. And I changed the word from happy to joy. Because happiness is much more related to our circumstances, where joy is a deeper emotion, a more spiritual emotion, because even in times of hardship and sadness, we can find joy in our lives. So I strive to find joy and be in good health. Part of being in good health is the last year and a half, I've lost 50 pounds and I feel so much better. But it takes discipline, it takes action to accomplish those goals. Second most important goal I strive to achieve in my life is to be the best husband and the best father, and now the best grandfather that I can be. But more important than any of those is that I want to go to heaven when I die and help as many others know the way, the truth, and the life. And if there are any of those 4 things that you want to talk about ever, you feel free to call me. Because that's where my heart is and those are my passions. And I think we find more success when we live inside our abilities and we focus on our passions and we pursue our calling. I'll close with this statement as it's now time to share our gratitude and thanks with those honorees tonight. But I hope my words tonight have been inspiring. I hope as you brush your teeth and put on your clothes the next few days, you'll think about setting some life goals for yourself. Maybe you'll do it on your way home. Maybe even write your own eulogy. That'll make you focus on where you're headed. I remember when my brother-in-law was trying to teach me to drive road crop. He was a cotton farmer. Man, I'd never driven trying to drive straight other than in the roping pen. And so he said, you got to drive straight if you're going to plant cotton, we're going to cultivate it. So I'd drive along a little while and I'd turn and I'd look. I'd drive a little further and I'd turn and I'd look, man, my roads were crooked as a snake. He said, if you'll see that post down there at the end of the field, if you'll focus on that post, when you get there and you turn around, your roads will be straight. Find those focal points of where you want to be. Pursue those. Find them. I'll close with these words from a famous Dennis Waitley, trainer for the United States Olympic team years ago, and he said this. He said, I would rather watch a winner than hear one any day. So please, my loving leaders, let your life show us the way. Because our kids are just mirrors of how we live today. They may misunderstand the high advice that we and others give, but there is no misunderstanding in how we act and in how we live. The message I have for each one of us today is to walk our talk. And not just tell people, but show them how to do it by our actions. Because winning is not just whining. Winning is coming in fourth, exhausted, but exhilarated because you came in fifth last time. Winning is treating people like brothers and sisters. Losers see the icy streets while winners put on their ice skates. Losers are aggressive while winners are assertive. Losers, they just let it happen. But winners like you make it happen. And life is to do it with God, for others, to our self-project. And we will best get out of this life what we put into it. So go forward with me, and let's strive to make the best better. God bless you. Thank you.
On behalf of our District 3 agents, we appreciate you being here with us, sharing your faith, your family, and your love for agriculture. Again, we would like to present this TCAAA branded boar maker for you and maybe commemorate your time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.